Welcome in everyone, James here, and in this video I am going back into the monster cave to fight the aptly named Achilles the Dreadful. Only this time I will be using the Hunter class. Now, I could talk about how ridiculously broken and poorly designed this fight is, but I feel like I moaned about it sufficiently when I did the Warrior class video. So swiftly moving on, this is the build. You will notice it's my mythic armor, and that is essential for this fight in my opinion because you get the extra attunements on your armor. Now I will mention I have seen there's people in my guild that have beaten it with 4 mythic pieces and 1 unique piece, so it can be done. But in these videos I'm wanting to show you the best ways to do it, and by taking away just one of these mythic armor pieces I feel like you are handicapping yourself and you're not able to attune all 5 pieces to get the damage negation. So for me it is essential that it's on your mythic gear, but it can be done with a unique piece. And for this video specifically I have changed my entire class to the Hunter class. All that means is that all the hero charms you see there, they are all Hunter power now. I don't want to overcomplicate it, but yeah, that's basically what your main class means. It's the hero charms on your main armor and the heroes that you level up. Obviously I've leveled up a ton of heroes, so that's not really an issue for me, but that's what that means. Eventually I mean to test everything in the game on this fight until I've done all 5 classes or it gets nerfed, whichever comes first. But yeah, I've done the warrior class, this is the hunter class, and I just want to mention as well the utility charms here, that is the status and the resist slots. If yours are a lower rarity, it doesn't really matter, it's the total percent value that matters. So even though my charms are unique, even if you've only got blue ones, you can achieve the same results by just adding a couple more. That's absolutely not a problem. So the charms I'm using here are on the body piece. I have 1 weakened chance for 60% and 4 armor charms. On the helmet there, I have another weaken chance, and that brings it up to 120% total chance. Everything adds together, it all stacks. Then I have 3 poison resist charms, and that gives me 120%. Now anything over 100% will totally nullify all poison damage in any PvE content. That's anything except for the arena where you're fighting other players. And then that last status slot there, it's just an acid damage charm. That slot wasn't doing anything, so I just threw that in there. It's not needed, it's extra, don't worry about it, you don't need it. It doesn't really do much for me in this fight anyway. And then the other 3 pieces there, as I've already mentioned, they're all hunter power charms. That's 375%. It sounds like a lot, but that's really only a 3.75 times multiplier. So if you look at it like that, it's not really that much. And if you drop by a little bit, if you can only get to 300%, the difference it's going to make will not be actually that big. So don't be intimidated by the fact that I'm using all unique charms here. This absolutely can be done with lower rarity charms. And the armor is attuned 3 pieces to beast and 2 pieces to outlaw. I will go over why that is so important a little bit further in the video. And then the weapon I'm using is the axe. I built this axe specifically for these cave videos. It has 2 protect triangles. That's 100% chance to proc protect on chain start. And it's important here that they are unique, because in order to build this hybrid of the damage hammer and the sword, I need those 3 other slots. Otherwise it's going to be a bit useless. It's not going to do much more damage, and I might as well just use the triangle sword. So if you don't have the unique protect, just use the triangle sword, absolutely fine. And the other 3 slots are 1 crit chance on chain and 2 crit damage on chain. Ultimate, completely useless, you don't want it. But what this is going to do is it's just going to give me a little bit of extra damage in the combos really, and that is attuned to demon and beast. The potions here, purple power potions and vigor potions for this fight, and the heroes I'm using are Lanasa for weaken. Now you need to have Lanasa max stars. If you don't have max stars, you won't have weaken on rage, and none of what I'm telling you will work. So She really needs to be max stars for this. And then the second hero is Freya. Now mine is only 3 stars here. At max stars, she gets stun on rage, which would be incredibly helpful for this fight. Unfortunately, I did not have that to show you. Let's test it, see how good it is. But yeah, it can be done without that. It will just be incredibly helpful. Now Freya is an interesting hero. Her rage distributes, but the damage is not very good. The damage is really low unless they have Protect, Fury or Focus on them. If they do not have any of those buffs, the damage is properly low. Even with all these hero power charms, she averages at about 900k, and yeah, it's quite low for a distribute hero, and that does play a part in this fight. And then her base power, again, it heals you, but the heal is incredibly low. Even with all these hero power charms, you're going to get about 150k, which really is not a lot, but what it does do is it charges in 3 moves, so it's incredibly fast with a Hunter Speed Gauntlet. I'm using the Logician here. It fills the rage on the Logician, it cleanses all of your debuffs, that includes the 3-turn Dizzy, which is what we're using it for here, and it gives you regen. Now regen is not very good, but in this situation, I was trying to stack the regen to kind of give me a bit more health because I had no heals coming from anywhere except for Freya. So yeah, it's quite interesting. She does feel incredibly weak, but bear in mind, I am fighting the most frustrating, broken and terribly designed level ever created in this game. But that is the setup. Let's get into the fight. So going straight into round 1 with a power potion to get the ball rolling, Lanasa Rage for weaken, Freya base for regen, and a weapon swing for protect. Now protect and weaken is up, that's 70% damage negation. You get 35% less incoming damage from protect. The enemies inflicted with weaken will put out 35% less damage to you, and that brings you up to 70% damage negation because both those things are different, so they stack on top of each other. And then the attunements on the mythic armor give you another 10% damage negation each. So I've got 3 attunements to beast, that's 30% less damage from Achilles. So you can see that with weaken and protect active, Achilles is dealing 0 damage, and I have 2 outlaw attunements. So this outlaw enemy here, he will only ever be dealing 10% of his damage, while I have weaken and protect active. And this is key to fighting this boss. This is why I want the extra attunement, so that I can be immune to Achilles' damage, because his power hits incredibly hard. I'm not going to have to deal with any of that because he's going to be dealing 0 damage to me, so that's one less thing to worry about. And it's the same with the poison resist charms as well. Freya cleanses, so I could have probably gotten away with it, but it's just one less thing to worry about. And you will see when this thing starts putting dizzy on you, it limits your actions, so there's not really much you can do, and you fall back on whatever your build is. Whatever charms you have, they are going to be doing a lot more work than usual, because you're in this weird situation where it can take away all of your actions, and it gets to the point sometimes where you're hardly ever getting a turn. So when you do get a full turn, you need to really maximize that and get as much as you can out of that turn that you have been given. So all you're doing really is maintaining that weaken and protect to keep the incoming damage as low as it possibly can be, and chipping away at any ad enemies until you can get Achilles isolated. Once he is isolated, it becomes a lot simpler. And what ends up happening here is, because both Freya and Lanasa deal relatively low damage, Lanasa is only going to be putting out about 300k damage, and Freya's rage is going to be about 900k most of the time, unless you get a big crit. So what ends up happening here is, because we have no way to dispel that regen he has, the regen will give him 500k every single time it ticks, and it's infinite, it does not go away. So what ends up happening in this fight using the hunter class is you end up in this extremely bizarre game of tug of war, where every time you get dizzied, he's regenerating like 1,000,000 health. Even if you get rid of the dizzy straight away, he's regenerating 1,000,000 health over 2 ticks, and then the maximum damage you can do is 900k from Freya's rage. And you have to maintain weaken with Lanasa and weave in some Freya rages when you can and when you have enough actions. And yeah, it ends up like a really bizarre game of tug of war. I'll speed this bit up and you can see the health bar going up and down, up and down, up and down, and it feels like it takes forever. This fight in total was 35 minutes, so I am going to have to speed it up quite a bit to make this into a decent video. Otherwise you're going to be here for an hour watching me fight this thing. And then going into round 2, you really want your rage charged if you can, and even better if Freya is charged as well, so that you can double rage when you go into it. So I'm starting off with a rage, and even with 120% weakened chance, it fails to land on this level 75 Minotaur. So immediately queue up another rage with Freya, and luckily it landed there. But this gives you a good idea of how finicky this second round is. For me, the second round is the most difficult part of this entire fight. Then straight away I need to turn my attention to the outlaw on the back row, because his power will deal devastating direct to health damage. So if I take a dizzy from Achilles here, it's game over. And then once he's out of the way, I'm just going to spend this turn to charge everything up again, because I have a brief moment of safety here. It doesn't last long though, because now all of the enemies here are charged up and the Minotaur is about to put fury on himself. So I just decided to charge rage and Freya base in case I get dizzied in this next turn. And I got dizzied. So now in this situation I can cleanse dizzy or attempt to weaken. If weaken fails on the Minotaur here, it's game over. And as you can see, even with everything weakened, without protect, I'm taking a huge amount of damage here. So I cleanse that dizzy now with Freya and immediately take another dizzy from Achilles. And there's just so much luck involved in this fight. I know anyone that's here watching, because they're struggling, have died in these exact same situations where dizzy just leaves you utterly defenseless. And now the Minotaur is ready to heal and buff himself again, so I'll wait until he has the fury to try and overwrite it with weaken. And you can see there I hit the wrong hero and messed this up a bit. I'm just playing on autopilot at this point because I'm expecting to die imminently. And as you can see, the weaken ticked up to 3, so we know it landed. And immediately I get hit with another 3-turn dizzy. My health's low, Freya isn't charged, and the Minotaur is about to use fury again. So I hit a vigor potion here. I don't have many options. Luckily I didn't get dizzied, so now I have a chance to rage Lanasa again. And this round 2 is usually where I die when I'm trying to do this fight, but it is this relentless onslaught of continuous dizzies that usually ends your runs. You can see how I'm playing that I actually thought I was going to die. I didn't think I was going to get through it, and it is really disheartening as well. Luckily though, I got a couple of turns in here to make some decent damage and get a little bit further into the fight. And again, I get dizzied. The only thing I can do here is wait until the Minotaur uses fury again to try and overwrite it, to wait and see if I get another 3-turn dizzy. Luckily I didn't get dizzied again, so I take full advantage of this precious turn I've been allowed and double rage to finish off the outlaw there. And now the outlaw is out of the way. That's one small problem dealt with at least. I've just got to finish off the Minotaur and his comically ridiculous 12 million health. No, I'm not even lying. These things have 12 million health. I need to continue evading the fury and all of these dizzy procs. I'll speed the video up at this point while I finish the Minotaur off and engage Achilles in his weird game of tug of war you have to play with his health bar. If only you could speed it up 6 times in real life, this fight might just be a little bit better. But straight into round 3 with a double Lanasa Rage, and there's a couple of enemies in this round that you really need to keep your eye on. You have the big outlaw in the front, and I'm going to try and avoid hitting him, because when you hit him it will charge his power, and his power will heal all of the enemies and put protect on them. The only thing he can't do is heal himself. And we have the outlaw archer in the back. Now he's an archer, all of his attacks hit your health directly. The problem here is he can put fury on himself, so just like the demon in round 2, you need to watch him, and when he uses his fury you need to overwrite it with weaken. I got pretty lucky in this 3rd round and I didn't get dizzied quite as often as I did in the 2nd round. The 2nd round was really touch and go. This one pretty straightforward. I wasn't in much danger. Even once I got the outlaw isolated, I was just spamming off the Lanasa Rages, and when I was playing, it took me way too long to remember the fact that Freya's Rage is strong versus protect. So you can see I'm just chipping away at this outlaw here, but eventually I remembered and I started weaving in some Freya Rages, and it went a lot faster once I started doing that. So yeah, if you are using this strategy, when you get into this 3rd round, use Freya's Rage, weave it in as often as you can, because all of the enemies are gonna have protect, even though she is a distributor, which means more enemies equals lower damage. As I say, this big outlaw here, he can't heal himself, he can only heal the other enemies and put protect on them. He just keeps spamming protect on himself, so eventually if you do keep chipping away at these guys, they do go down. They just keep all of their allies healed up, and it is incredibly annoying, especially if you get 2 of them. When there's 2 of these in a fight, it's properly annoying. Usually outside of stuff like this, I like to use Millicent, because you could stun one and then put poison on them and attack their health and stuff, but obviously we're not talking about outside of this cave. But as you can see, this is the point where I kind of realized and started using some Freya Rages, and I need to refresh weaken here, because when you start weaving in the other rages, you really have to keep your eye on the weaken, because that's ticking down all the time as well. So weaving in the other rages, you have to just do it when you can, when there's enough weaken up there, and a rage from Freya there takes the last outlaw straight down. And I'm going to speed this bit up again because I have Achilles isolated. Now when he is isolated, you really do have to maintain the weaken and protect, because he is incredibly dangerous. It's just a lot more manageable when there's no add enemies. And you can see here, I was fed up at this point. This fight was 35 minutes long, and the weaken completely dropped out there. I got dizzied and I started taking damage, and I got a little bit sloppy towards the end, but I just wanted him dead as quick as possible. But this is how I did it. This is how I beat the most broken level in the game with the hunter class, and it's what I believe to be the best available strategy for the hunter class. But that is it from me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I have been James B09. Good luck out there. Wait, are you still here? Well, thank you for watching to the end of the video, and I suppose I better show you how to get some free stuff. So if you go in the game and have a look, you will find the social button, and this thing is pretty cool because it has links to the Reddit and Discord community. The Facebook and Instagram ones are just the Knighthood pages, but the Reddit and the Discord one, these are where you're going to find the community. You can go there, ask any questions you like, and you might even find me knocking about in there. But definitely, if you want to learn more, get yourself into the Reddit or the Discord. There's plenty of guides and knowledgeable people floating about in both of those. But what you can do as well is, if you press the Knighthood button, it will automatically log you in. You have news, updates, all kinds of stuff in here, and it will just tell you what's going on. But what you can do is, if you press on the top left there and go to the web store, you are automatically logged in, and you can buy stuff in here if you want to spend a little bit of money. you will get stuff for a little bit cheaper than they will be in the game, so that's definitely not a bad thing. But what you can do is you can claim yourself some free chests. There will be a free gold chest and a free gem chest. If you go in there regularly, collect those chests. It's definitely worth doing because you're getting free loot. And that really is it from me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I have been James B09. Good luck out there.